busy. They should have just done Paul McGann and then gone back later and shown the regeneration scene if they wanted to. I think that would have been better, maybe it would have carried on. It's all my fault. Again!
What must be strange for you in the sense was obviously people previously who had regenerated, there was always that kind of continuity of the people behind the camera or wherever it might be, or the BBC. And now you were going off somewhere else to actually film with a new cast, new crew, completely reinventing it from your point of view. That must have been completely strange, wasn't it?
It was wonderfully strange because when I got there, they gave me my costume and said, there we are, and pointed to a big Pantechnicon, and they said, that's your dressing room. And I thought, gosh, I'm so used to changing in the toilet. And I went into this Pantechnicon and it had, you know, a family could live there. And everything. It had lounge, kitchen, shower. It had lighting for every kind of mood. You know, whatever mood that you had to create on the set. You could press a button and you were in that mood. It was astonishing, really. They treated me, you know, I was in a it wasn't a star hotel, it was a 5-diamond hotel. And it had all the X-Factor, what's the other X? No, the one before that with the X-Files. Yeah, and all the X-Files people in there, because it was, I always kept hanging around. It was like, you know, American-Canadian equity hanging out in the bar every night. It was just amazing. I was having a great time. And then all you had to do was phone up and say, can I have my car, please? And then when you got down on the lift, you went out, and the car was there with the engine running and the heating on. And I thought, wow, I long to go back to the BBC.
I used to have to go home on the tube.
The glamour of it all.
Yeah.
We've got time for some questions. If you'd like to raise your hand, bring a microphone right to the very, very front row. There's a chap in the middle here, and so you your hand right to that side will, yeah, to the waving gentleman over there. Okay.
Ben, one of the things about your novelisation that really grabbed me was you put in so much effort into the armoured Dalek and gave a real strong backstory and an incredible, you know, he hated everybody that had been in this kind of war, the whole kind of works. It was fantastic to read. It was one of those kind of novels that you go, oh, I've learned so much more than was on the TV. Did you get much opposition to that kind of thing, or was that?
No, my whole history with Remembers the Daleks has been people going, go away and write something, and I've gone away and not knowing what the rules are, I've just broken the rules and thinking, well, I'll do this because it's like that thing I did. And with that kind of youthful enthusiasm and this sense of immortality. And like you weren't supposed, it starts with an opening sequence, and you weren't supposed to have those on Doctor Who. And it has him looking at the camera and going, oh, I think I've miscarried. Weren't supposed to do that either, and all sorts of things that you weren't supposed to do. That people said you're not supposed to do that. It was too late. I'd done it. And then the novelisation was exactly the same. W.H. Allen came up and said, "Have some cash. We'd like a short, 40,000 words." And they were used to Terrence Dicks, and they got me instead. And I just thought, great, someone's paying me to learn how to write novels now. They're paying me to learn how to write scripts, now they're going to pay me how to write novels. It made total sense to me.
Oh, I was just about to say I called him Rambo Dalek, one of them, because Rambo was on at the time, and he was a big bugger, wasn't he? But you know these guys that were blowing up? You know that scene where the two factions come together and do battle? We were watching that being filmed behind those gates, and the Daleks were all lined up, the Rambo Dalek and all the other little Daleks beside him, and they were going to be exposed by the explosion, and the explosion went off, and windows were broken in the building we were in, and when it cleared, the Daleks had melted. Luckily, there was no one inside them.
Before we go to the next question, I was going to ask, there was somebody here who looks very much like Ace, actually. Are you prepared to stand up and just give us a twirl? Well, it's fantastic.
Go on. It's a fantastic one.
It is a fantastic thing.
Hi, this is a question for Silvester. If you look at the sort of actors that have been cast in the title roles since 2005, like quite young and tall, etc., do you think that is self-explanatory? Do you think that you would stand a chance to get cast in the part today? Or would it always be the realm of a younger actor today?
The Hobbit, for goodness sake, is an international,
No, he's saying would I be cast as the Doctor today? Say I come along at that age of 40, whatever it was. Yes, well, yeah, I for a long time believed that what was really important that we had a superhero, A, who didn't wear his underpants outside his trousers, and then B, used his brain and was mature. I thought that was very healthy for society, because in society, especially the Anglo-Saxon society, we do tend to put aside the old and, forget them. And I thought, wow, this is great. We've got an old fella out there, and young people can grow up thinking, yeah, there's wisdom, there's all that. So when I heard that they were bringing them to younger people, I was very, very disappointed. And then when Matt Smith, and they said, well, my goodness, they're casting a 12-year-old. I said, no. But when you see Matt Smith, I mean, he's got the most amazing face. I mean, it is the most wonderful alien face I've ever seen. It's got everything in it. I mean, he's just an astonishing 12-year-old actor. I really admire it.
Peter Jackson is a big Doctor Who fan, and he's cast you, obviously, in The Hobbit, which you've now filmed. Did he talk to you about Doctor Who and his...
No, he didn't actually, which is quite fun, really. Except for the very last day. But all the way through, I remember when I was first out there, I went to a party in his house, and his children were very excited because he hadn't arrived yet, and they were hoping he would come dressed in my costume, which he didn't. And then, we never mentioned it. Other people mentioned it throughout the 2.5, 3 years that we were filming these 3 films, and then on the very last day, he made a lovely little speech, but it was my very last day, and then he suddenly said, and I got the pleasure of working with my Doctor Who, and that was just like, oh my God! Jackson, yeah.
Okay, question on the side over here, and then over the very, very back, second row from the back on the... Yeah,
I was 9 years old when I became a Doctor Who fan, and my first series I remember watching was the last one. And I just thought he was so brilliant in Doctor Who, and I felt completely robbed that it was stopped when it was. I wondered whether, if you were offered the opportunity to film Series 27 now, would you go back and do it?
Yes, please.
That's my agent. Yeah, no, I would, I'd love to go back, and yeah, I would, yeah, there's no doubt about it, I'd be delighted, and,
You got stock investments.
Apple?
I'd like to do the story that you outlined with Andrew, the one that we did for Big Finish, actually, with the sort of opening scene on
yes.
the, yeah, sort of starship.
Well, that's all we had. We only had the opening scene, but we didn't
Yeah.
have any other story. We had a lot of plans like that, things we wanted to do, things we'd like to do, things we were going to get Syl to do. We had revenge plans with Silvester. Tie him up, hang him by his ankles.
He's done that already, he wrote a show. Too late.
We would die desperate to get the ferrets in, actually. We were going to stick horns on them and make many creatures.
Oh, right, yeah, that would be good. I'd be pretending to be a wall, and someone who's blind comes along and bangs a nail into me. My nose, and then bangs it in, and then hangs a picture on it. That'd be good.
Just watching the show today, I was impressed by what a stellar supporting cast you had there. You know, people like George Sewell, Pamela Salem, Simon Williams, John Leeson, of course. And I just wondered, your era seemed to attract some great actors. What do you think it was about your era that attracted such brilliant actors?
Well, I don't know if that were... I thought maybe lots of other eras attracted great actors, but all the ones that wanted to be in it because they had children, and children, they wanted to have kudos with their kids. Some of them, were acting in things where, the one children couldn't see, so that was one of the reasons. A lot of them wanted to be in it, wasn't it? But it was, I felt so humbled and, really, really excited to work with so many of those great actors, and yeah, I was delighted.
For me, it was like my drama school, because I'd never been, and then coming straight from theatre to TV where I had no experience at all, and working with those great people, Sylvia Sims, Sheila Hancock, you know, I mean, amazing. So watching them was just like my education, really. I was so fortunate to have that.
Ken Dodd.
Time for a couple more questions. We go for the very, very back row over there. And over this side. On the far edge over there.
Yeah, question for Sophie. Apparently it was said that you were going to be in the Sarah Jane Adventures had it continued. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that until I had an interview for Doctor Who magazine, and I was told that the very first thing that Ben said to me was, oh, I've got a message from Russell T Davies, who I've never met, and I've always wanted to, because when the series came back on again, I thought, right, I really want to be supportive here, and I went to my desk and I took out this one piece of paper from the Threshold house, and it had the old logo on, and it was one of John Nathan Turner's old bits of office paper that I nicked from his office, and I wrote a letter to Russell T Davies on it. I thought that would be nice to say, you know, here you are, here's a piece of paper from John's office, you have this, and good luck with the series. Anyway, apparently Russell had had this idea that whenever an ex-companion or somebody from the classic series was in the Sarah Jane Adventures, the ratings went up massively. So it was Ace's turn next. And he'd got this whole thing mapped out. And it was weird, because I got the idea that, I don't know, because so many people hadn't really liked our era. You know, we had this, well, at the time, we had this real feeling, didn't we, that we weren't, you know, we weren't, yeah. We weren't as popular as the ones that had come before. So I sort of kind of had this idea that maybe Russell T Davies hadn't really kind of thought much of our era, but of course I now find out that nothing could be further from the truth. So yeah, he'd had this idea that the opening shot was going to be this smart open-top sports car turns up outside Sarah Jane's house, and you cut to this sort of very smart, suited woman getting out of the car, and you see her, the back shot going up to the front door, and then the door opens and there's a POV, and it's Ace, and but she's grown up, and she's kind of in this smart suit with high heels. And
a baseball bat.
Well, yeah, and apparently she's working for some kind of organisation. I like to see it like kind of Greenpeace, you know, sort of climbing the Shard. I think Ace would have liked to climb the Shard, and that she'd been doing that in space.
That's the third time, isn't it? In the
it is in the Sarah Jane.
They talk about
yeah.
a previous companion called Dorothy, who's now running a charitable Earth, ACE.
Yeah.
And so obviously, you know, Russell had that in mind, didn't he, at that point?
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed then, because I thought, oh, she's just down at the local branch of the British Red Cross, but I don't think he meant that.
Yeah, thank you. Just watching today, it's clear how underrated you were in this programme, both of you. And I think your relationship on screen is akin for me to Tom and Elizabeth, the way you work well together. How did that relationship form? Did it happen quickly, the bond between both of you?
Can I ask that one before you start? Because it was incredible. It was right on the set on Dragonfly, and then suddenly it was like, poof, it was there. And we all went, oh my God, quick, right stuff. and it was like, and the very first, I mean, when I wrote them, and the very first day of shooting, I just watched them do it. It was like, my God, it's like they've been working together for years. It's like they were a seasoned double act, and they were playing off each other. And it was incredible. It was actually incredible to watch. Sorry, I just felt that.
Oh no, it's. I mean, the thing is, as soon as I started working with Sophie, she laughed at all my jokes, and I knew I loved her from that moment on. She's still laughing at them. I think, which is quite amazing.
Do you know what's so funny about your answer? It's exactly what Tom Baker said about his slavery.
Really?
He said, you know, what they said, why do you want to say what Liz? She laughed at all my jokes.
I think we sort of shared a similar kind of maverick background as well.
Yeah.
Neither of us had been to drama school and trained, and we both worked. I'd worked in the working men's clubs, he'd worked in the working men's clubs, and we'd had this sort of...
We had the same kind of political philosophy and, you know, kind of saw the world very similarly.
And our birthdays on the same day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Twins.
Say goodbye. As ever, I want to thank Edward Russell, Matt Nichols, and all the folks from the BBC who have helped us put these events together. A reminder that John and Ben will be signing books out by the film shop in the main foyer after this. We can buy a t-shirt as well. And a massive thank you to John Leeson, Mike Tucker, Dick Mills, Ben Aaronovitch, Sophie Aldred, and Silvester McCoy.